I think the biggest issue is always the economy, but after that, for this particular election, immigration, I think, is a key concern for voters. And I think it's a key concern for voters not just on the centre-right, which is usual, but it's a key issue for Labour voters as well. I think, whether UKIP will be a wrecker for the Conservatives, whether the extent to which UKIP will erode the Conservatives' share of the vote in terms of splitting the centre-right vote in enough races, that actually means they get 6 or 7 seats, and that could well deprive the Conservatives of an overall majority. But I think also one of the things that's interesting about UKIP is that they are changing the nature of politics. They're almost taking politics back to a blunter, less politically correct age, and that's very attractive for an awful lot of people because they want politicians who speak their mind. The other thing about it is whether the Tories and UKIP could do a deal. I think they could do a deal, and I think if UKIP have 5, 6, 7, 8 MPs, that could be sufficient for the Conservative leadership to think, okay, if that's what we need. I think, though, to be honest, the overall thing will possibly be that there will be a hung parliament, and the difficulty is, I think, when it comes to forming coalitions is, does the math work? If I was in David Cameron's shoes, or if I was in Ed Miliband's shoes, and I was the leader of the largest party in Parliament, I would govern in a minority. And I'd put my number one bill, on the floor of the House, and high stakes. So if I'm the Labour Party, I would go for the living wage, and let's see if we can carry the House. And if eventually, after 6 months or so, your government gets voted down, Parliament's dissolved by Her Majesty, and then the whole thing's run again. I think the nature of big coalitions and is very unstable. And even though I think the last coalition shows that coalition government can work, if you increase the amount of partners in that coalition to 3 or 4, it starts to become a very, very unstable affair. I think if the Conservatives are the largest party in Parliament, they can only really do a deal with UKIP or sort of the right-wing Liberal Democrats, the Orange Book Liberals. That's if many of them hold their seats. They might well do, but we don't know. They're not polling very well. I think in theory for the Labour Party, the most credible partner is the Liberal Democrats. Again, a more left-leaning social liberal version. I don't think the SNP are a viable partner for the Labour Party. I actually think they are politically toxic, the Labour Party, because if you're a party who believes in the union and you go into partnership with the Scottish National Party, you are saying, we're willing to work with a party whose sole reason for being is to break up the United Kingdom. So even though I think the SNP will have a very good election, I think they'll win big, I really don't think that it's viable for a future Labour government to actually be in a formal coalition. There may be some kind of confidence and supply, and that might also be the case potentially with a few Green MPs in Labour. But I don't think you could have a full-on formal coalition, Labour SNP, like you've had with the Tories and the Liberals.